So good morning, everyone. Welcome to this month's version of What's Your Plan? So each month we host a talk with an industry expert, someone who knows a great deal about the world of aging and very specific parts of it. So we like to do this to share with people things that are out there. We learn stuff every month we do this. There's always something new Patricia and I learn. A little bit about me, my wife and I, Kathy, started Assisting Hands about 8 years ago. I spent most of my career being a lawyer and started this really because I had experience with my own family and my wife's family and learned a lot, mostly the hard way. So part of the genesis for doing these calls was to help provide knowledge and information so people didn't have to do it the way we did it, that you didn't have to make mistakes because you could listen to industry experts and get information that I wish we would have known about. So at Assisting Hands, we provide private duty home care. We put aids in people's homes, and our goal is to help provide peace of mind and take the stress off of families by being there when they can't be. So we work all over the place in Montgomery County, PG County, Fairfax County, Virginia. We work in hospitals, rehabs, assisted livings, private homes, small group homes, even hotels. We have a client we're getting ready to serve who's in a hotel because she's having plastic surgery and doesn't want anyone to see her for 4 or 5 days. And so we're going to be in there caring for her while she's there. So that's about us. Today, though, we're really excited to have Rafaela O'Brien with us today. Hopefully I pronounced your name correctly, Rafaela. If not, you'll correct me. She is the president and founder of AIVI Global. And basically what they do is make homes smart, which makes it easier for people to live in their homes, especially when they have physical or cognitive challenges. So Rafaela, tell us a little bit about you and how you got started in this business.
It's Rafaela. It's like Raphael with an A on the end. No worries. Ella for short. And yeah, so I started AIVI Global several years back. And my mission, I have both a son that's special needs and of course, aging parents. So the mission was to help families take some of the stress of taking care of their loved ones by giving them some technology. So everyone at some point in their life winds up being a caregiver or assisting a caregiver, whether it's of an aging loved one or of a special needs individual. So I felt that there was a great need to talk to people about how they can make their home smarter and put different technology in their home to assist them with their caregiving duties. And, you know, I think it's really a lot of the companies out there, you know, they're just trying to sell you the technology without taking the time to sit down with you and say, okay, here's how technology can make life easier for you. Here's how, you know, if your mom has dementia or Alzheimer's or is prone to falling, or maybe, you know, there's these different things that you have going on with your loved one. Here's how we can help things be easier. If, you know, you have to constantly watch them and you want to be able to run to the store, go to the bathroom without, you know, being stressed out that something is going to happen. Or maybe, you know, you live kind of far away from them and they haven't answered their phone for a few days, you know, being able to know that, hey, everything's okay with them, you know, just even though they haven't, you know, they're not picking up the phone.
This leads me to my first question, right? So there are countless, I get emails every day for some smart this, smart that thing. And so, you know, to me, it's overwhelming. How do you sort of vet the platforms that you offer? And then tell me a little bit about what are the kind of major things that you offer? Are they cameras? Is it life alerts? What's the kind of thing that you feel is the go-to thing that pretty much everyone ought to consider having?
Sure. So we offer a lot of I would say we do more sensors than anything. And sensors, can be anywhere. And there's a lot of different types of sensors, whether we do chair sensors, bed sensors, door sensors, sensors to monitor whether or not they're taking their meds, different things like that. We do a lot of sensors. We also do a lot of um, kind of programming reminders for folks. We do a lot with memory loss. So a lot of that is, just programming reminders to say, hey, it's time to, make dinner. It's time to walk the dog. Hey, your favorite show comes on at this time, or different things like that. So that we do a lot of. As far as vetting of technology, we kind of look at, we want things that give us more bang for our buck. So anytime we see a piece of tech that is kind of multifunctional, or, it's giving us, it can do of more than just one thing for us, we prefer those kinds of options versus, something that is just giving us, one thing. We also take into account a lot of different factors when looking at tech. So for example, there might be this really cool tech that came out, but when we look at it, it's like, hey, this is really hard for someone who is not tech savvy to pick up, so this might not be a great option, because a lot of the folks that are using this tech, need to be trained on how to use it. And if it's not really user friendly, the longevity and the likelihood of them using it is low, So we want to make sure the tech that, we present to clients is really going to be user friendly, easy for them to pick up. So it's easy for them to use it going forward, versus tech that, you need someone that almost can write code to use
Right.
it.
So give me an
So,
example. So I'll throw out a couple examples and tell me what you would use. So, I know, Maria owns group homes. And so if I want to make sure at night that people are staying in their bed or in their room, how do I put a sensor either in the bed or in the room that doesn't make a blaring noise, but maybe alerts someone at a station down the hall, or maybe it alerts someone miles away, like me caring for my mother-in-law down in Florida? What kind of devices would you use for that?
I would say you can use you can use a bed sensor, but you can also use a door sensor, and a combination of the two. Both of the two you can have tied into a platform where you can get the alerts any way you want to get the alerts. So if you want the alerts via, push, you can get the alerts via text, you can get them via email, however you prefer to get those alerts, and they can go out to multiple people. So if you want them to go to the nurse at the station, she can get them. And if you also want to have them coming to you on your phone, you can also have them coming to you on your phone.
And what do these devices look like? Are they, an example of a door sensor? I know what a bed sensor looks like. I've seen them. They're mats under that sit under the sheets. But what do these things look like? Are they cameras? Are they little things that are metallic? Open the door and they trigger?
It's like a little piece of plastic. It's about this big, and it has two magnetic sides. So one side goes on the frame, one side goes on the door. And so when the door opens and those two, the connection is lost, and an alert goes out.
Okay. And so if, let's say I have somebody with dementia and they have a penchant to be a wanderer and head out the front door, and let's say they they've defeated any locking system we might have. Can we have it so that an alarm rings to hopefully remind them, wow, I shouldn't be leaving, but also send a notice to, let's say, the neighbor or a loved one to make sure they know someone has now eloped and has left the home?
Yes. Yep.
Gotcha. Okay. So I've got another one. So my mother-in-law lives down in Florida, and she lives alone. And now she's worried that she may not get out of bed in the morning and wants somebody to check in on her every day. Just a text, a phone call. And so my wife has been serving that duty, but it's kind of hard. You're busy in life. She's got things to do. Are there automated systems that you all recommend that will every morning call somebody for a wake-up call? Hey, how are you? And if they answer, great. If they don't answer, we get an alert type thing?
Yes. Yep. Yes, we have those. And you can set them for certain times of day. If they don't, they can get the call at this time. If there's no answer, who gets the notification. You can also get it set up to, you know, ping you or ping someone that's local there to check on them and things like that.
Okay. So, give me a range. I realize I've just mentioned two things, but kind of what do these things cost? How do they get installed? And is any of it covered by insurance, Medicare?
So we're working to try and get some of these things covered by insurance. Right now, they're not. Um, we do a lot of, payment plans and things like that for folks who are on fixed incomes and want to get the technology. But I mean, the sensors, so for example, a door sensor is about $40. Um, so some of the things are not extremely expensive. Some things, are a little bit more expensive depending on the tech that you're putting in. So we talk with the families and we try to give them a solution that works for their budget.
Okay. And who installs this stuff? You come out to the house and you have a team that installs it, or do people have to do
Yes.
it themselves?
No, we have a team that installs it.
And so I know, Alexa is the big device out there, and it has a gazillion skills that are completely beyond my comprehension to set up. Is this the kind of thing where you also work with Alexa and help families figure out what of the 400,000 skills that are out there that might make sense for them to have in the home?
Absolutely. We do a lot with Alexa. Like we can set up Alexa in the bathroom. So that way, if they were to fall in the bathroom, they'd be able to call for help via Alexa. We can program in loved ones' phone numbers, things like that, program in their schedule, program in even noise. So for example, if they're, going to bed at night and if there's some noise that occurs downstairs, they'd get an alert, things like that. So say for example, you live with your parents and your parents are in another room and they were to, go downstairs to escape out the front door, you can get an alert from Alexa that they are, there's noise downstairs and there's, noise by the front door and things like that.
Okay, so I assume there's also things like you can put some sensor on the refrigerator to make sure that it
Absolutely.
gets open.
Yep.
It doesn't mean
Yep.
someone's eating, but at least it means someone's opened the fridge. Are there
Yep.
sensors that would remind somebody to turn the stove off? Because that's a big
Yes.
thing people worry about, that mom, put something to boil on for tea. walks away, forgets about it. Next thing you know, you've got a pot on the stove that's now melting and eventually causing a
The
fire.
stove, we have them for the stove and we have them for the water. So if they're, leave the water running as well.
Okay.
And also for, if there's the gas from the stove in the air that, it can sense that as well and alert folks for that as well.
Is there any sort of, I know a lot of people worry about gas stoves and their loved ones. Is there a sensor that if it smells carbon monoxide, it can turn the stove off, like a main cutoff valve, or is that something that's beyond reality at this point?
No, yeah, it doesn't cut it off, and it just alerts you that it's on.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So
With the water, you can remote cut it off, but not with the stove. That isn't something we have yet.
okay, gotcha. And so I know I've seen sort of life alerts that are effectively mini cell phones. And so if somebody wears one and they don't have their cell phone with them, you can actually contact them through a life alert. Do you have life alerts that you work with as well that you find useful?
Yes, we do.
Okay. And so how would someone go about getting started with you? What's the process for having, I don't know, tell me how you do it. You go out, you do it by Zoom, what's the way you guys work?
So it varies. It depends on the family, and whatever way they feel comfortable. So sometimes, you have, let's say the siblings are coming together to put in a solution for their parents or parents. And so we might do that via Zoom so that, we get them all, they're living in different, one is in Florida, one is in Arizona, one is in Maryland. So we might do that via Zoom and get everyone together to have those initial conversations about different solutions that they might put in place for their parents. Other times we'll do it in person, if they're all local and they want to do it in person. I mean, before COVID, of course, we for the most part did a lot of them in person. Now we're doing it's about 50-50. I would say we do about 50% of them virtually and 50% of them in person, just really depending on, the family and whatever way they prefer to do it.
Gotcha. And so I realize this is sort of a hard question to answer because it probably depends on what you get, but what's the range of cost for things from, the basic kind of monitoring, I guess, I don't know if you have cameras in the home kind of thing as well, to, like the Cadillac of support services you all offer. Is there a range here?
Yeah, I mean, it can go, on the low end from a couple $100 to, a couple $1,000, depending on, what solution the family wants to put in. I would say on average, folks probably spend $1,000 to $2,000 on a solution.
Okay.
But it can really range, and it depends on what the family wants to put in place.
Gotcha. And what would you say is, the most typical, the big hitters? What are the things that pretty much everyone says, this is my problem, and you offer, these are the solutions? Is there kind of a basic kit of stuff that people really would want?
We have a few, kind of canned kits if folks are like, hey, just, I'm not too picky, I just want something to get started. We typically do something like, a few sensors and a few intercom Alexa type setups throughout the home. If they Alexa dismiss, sorry. So we kind of do something like that if they just, want a really basic, few just a few things to kind of, take it for a test drive, so to speak.
Gotcha. And so I assume you also do cameras that you can
Yes.
put in places.
Yep.
Um,
We do two-way cameras. We call them the wellness cameras, so that you can see what's happening and talk to a loved one through those cameras.
can you, I know there are some people who, their loved ones are, would be aghast if they knew there was a camera in the home, but yet the kids want it anyway. Are there cameras that can be put around that are like in teddy bears or,
Yes.
flower pots or whatever that,
We do a
uh,
lot of those. Yeah, we do a
okay,
lot of those. Sometimes for their families who kind of just want to keep an eye on the caregivers that are dropping in to take care of the loved one and don't necessarily want the caregivers to know that there's a camera keeping an eye on them.
so it's,
So in those situations, we do hidden cameras. We might do a hidden camera in like a smoke alarm, or a hidden camera, like you said, in a teddy bear, or different things. Little small hidden cameras. So we do those as well for families that want those options.
so it's interesting. I always tell people when we go put aids in people's homes, that if they have cameras, they should tell us, because the goal isn't to catch somebody doing something wrong. It's to stop them from doing it wrong in the first place. So if they
Mhm.
know they're being watched, therefore, they're more likely to behave than catching them, because catching them is useless. They've already done something wrong.
Right.
Letting them know you're watching, you know, puts them hopefully at a higher level of, let me make sure I do this right since somebody's watching me. So
Right.
anyway, that's my personal view. I don't know how other people feel, but I'd much rather not have something happen. So, okay. And what about med boxes? Do you have um, recommendations? I know there are automated med boxes, which are like these big carousels where you can fill it for a month, thing spins around, pops open, and yells out, "Hey, take your medicine." And it'll keep yelling until somebody takes the med out and closes it. Do you have things like that you recommend?
We do. Yep, we have those, and we even have ones that we can program with a loved one telling them to take the meds. So
Mhm.
rather than just the little generic system saying, "Hey, take your meds," it's maybe their daughter or their son saying, "Hey, mom, time to take your meds," which is a little bit friendlier.
Gotcha. Yes. So, Patricia put a note in the chat, all of these things rely on electricity. And so how do you deal with all these things when inevitably there's snow or tornadoes or hurricanes or just general power outages? Do you recommend backup batteries? Do they just go down? How do they work?
Um, some of the stuff is that has backup batteries already. And some of it, we once it goes down, we might have to come out and reprogram it and things like that. Because it lost power. So we try to put in, things that, once if there's a power outage and they come back online, they're in a good place. Um, with the security cameras, we have a few backups that are installed. So even if there's no internet or there's no electricity, the cameras are still rolling and recording until, for a certain period, until
Gotcha.
they can get electricity or internet back to them. So there are a few things that, we have backup in place.
Gotcha. And so what about, I know, like Ring is now a very popular thing as well. And is that one of the tools you all use? Use Alexa, is Ring one of them as well?
Yeah, we use Ring. We do a lot of other, and Ring is just, a brand like Kleenex is to tissue, Ring is to the video doorbell. So we do have other brands of video doorbells, as well as Ring, but we do install more Ring brand video doorbells than others just because it is, kind of one of the groundbreaking forefathers of the video doorbell.
Gotcha. And okay. And so any things like, so for younger adults with, let's say, cognitive disabilities, what are the kind of things that people ask for them? If there's a difference, maybe there is no difference.
I, so for the special needs, we do a lot more on adaptive tablets, adaptive TVs. We do a lot of, kind of things that I guess would, keep them busy and talk to, uh, I guess the family and whatever concern they have with that loved one. We still do a lot of the same things with programming of schedules, with sensors around the doors and windows and smart locks and things like that with the special needs as well. So there are a lot of things that are the same in solutioning for special needs versus the senior market.
And do you use GrandPad? Have you heard of that?
Yes.
Okay, is that something that you all can help a family configure a GrandPad for their loved one?
Yes.
So for those of you that don't know, GrandPad is basically a stripped down version of an iPad. It's really simple. It's easy to use. We have one family now. They got rid of all technology, no phones in the house, nothing. The only way you can get in touch with them is by calling them on their GrandPad, because they found strangers were calling on the phone and they were buying things, all sorts of things that they didn't need. So now the GrandPad limits who they can receive calls from, and that's the only way that you can get in touch with this person now. And I thought, interesting idea. I know you can do that with cell phones as well.
Yes.
But having it on the GrandPad is great, because then you really have to be able to see the person as well to know what's going on. So, okay, good. We've got a couple more minutes. Anybody want to unmute and have any questions that, I didn't ask and Ella didn't have a chance to answer? No? Good. Well, I like it. So, Ella, thanks so much. This was really informative. We, in addition to me having aging parents, I also have a child with disabilities. And so there's lots of things that have given me pause to think about. I know I'm probably going to be calling you on the thing that will avoid my wife having to text her mother every morning to see if she's breathing, because that's sort of, stressful and weird, and you don't want that day to come when you don't get the reply back. That's not the thing you want. Yes. Katie, you got a question?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess we have 2 minutes left if you're going to stop at 10, but I'm just curious, like, what got you into this field, Ella? What your path has been, and if there's, I know I got on a little late. If there's a story to share, a success story that you wanted to share.
Yeah, sure. So my oldest son has epilepsy, and so I was actually began looking into technology for fall prevention, because it's with epilepsy, they can have an episode at any time, and you're not guaranteed to be there to make sure they don't fall, make sure that they're okay. And so I kind of started on this path of researching and trying to find cameras that were maybe designed to kind of help with things like fall prevention, and looking into sensors and things like that. And I felt like there really wasn't you know, it was like a lot of calling around. The companies that provided the tech weren't really helpful and really didn't care if you used it or how you used it or what you did with it. So I really felt there was a need to, kind of help families that, had a special needs loved one, and wanted some technology to help out with that. I have a brother with Downs, and of course, my parents are aging. So, it just kind of spoke to me, and that was, part of my reason of why of starting the business was I just felt like there wasn't, a company out there that, had the heart and wanted to sit down and have this conversation with families on the tech that's on the market and how we can best use it. A lot of times, you know, um, aging loved ones are, reaching out to the younger generation in their family who may or may not want to be bothered and saying, hey, can you walk me through how to do this on my iPhone or walk me through, this or set this up or do that, and sometimes it'll be nice to, not bother them and have someone that's, really wants to come out and get these kinds of things set up for them and spend, answer the phone 10 different times when Mary Sue calls and says, hey, I still can't figure out how to get this camera working, or I still can't
All
figure
right.
out how to do this on my phone or that on my
Ella,
grandpa.
I'm gonna have to stop you because we try
Sure.
really hard to end right at 10 o'clock because everybody's got things to do and places to go. So
Yeah,
look, if you're
hopefully I
interested,
answered the question.
yeah, if you're interested in talking to Ella, Ella, give us, I know we have a slide with your contact information. Oh, there
Yeah,
you go.
there it is.
So there's Ella's contact information. I encourage you to reach out and talk about solutions that you found interesting. She has a wealth of knowledge and information. What we didn't talk about is she has another part of the business that does work with mobility challenges and things like grab bars and chair glides and other kinds of technology like that, raised toilet seats, blah, blah, blah. So certainly reach out to her for that as well. So again, everybody, thank you for joining today. We really appreciate it. Ella, thank you for your time. It was really instrumental and super helpful. And we'll be back next month with another What's Your Plan?
All right. Thank you,
Bye
guys.
all.
Great talking with everyone.
See you later.